Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Rebecca and today I'm bringing you 50 Dollar Tree DIY room decor and home decor pieces that you can make on a budget. These are all going to be under $5 to make and you can get pretty much everything in Dollar Tree. So I hope that you guys enjoy this compilation of 50 Dollar Tree DIY pieces. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and let me know. And comment down below and let me know which DIYs in this video are some of your favorites. I love hearing from you, and let's go ahead and get started.
For the first one, I'm taking an 8x10 canvas from Dollar Tree and I'm going to paint it over with some black chalk paint. I got my black chalk paint in bulk on Amazon last year, and I will link it below, but Dollar Tree is now carrying black chalk paint too, so you can totally use one from Dollar Tree. Set this aside to dry now, and I'm going to take 3 acrylic paints from Dollar Tree and swirl them together, being careful not to fully combine them. You want to keep your individual colors showing. So you can do this in whatever colors that you want, whatever will match your decor. I'm going to go with some really neutral colors and use a brown, a peachy beige color, and white, and just swirl that all together and just get a really beautiful neutral, soft, earthy tones here. And now I'm going to take a small brush and then make one upward curved diagonal stroke across the canvas here. This is going to be like a floral stem. And then I'm going to take a flower petal. You could obviously use a real petal. I did not have any real flower petals, so I just cut one off of one of my Dollar Tree floral bouquets. And I'm going to just dip that in the paint carefully and then press it gently on either side of the stem in order to create the flower petals here. And this way each petal has all the colors in it that I've mixed here and just has a lot of beautiful variegation in the color. So pretty. I just used a single faux floral petal from a Dollar Tree flower bouquet to do this. You can make as many flower petals as you like on here. I did a few on each side, and then once this is dry, I'm gonna hot glue this canvas piece into the center of an 11x14 canvas. And now this is totally optional, but I love how it looks added into an 11x14 dollar store picture frame here. I absolutely love this idea, and I love how this one turned out. The next one also uses 2 canvases, but it does take less work to make. All I'm doing for this one is cutting a piece of fabric from one of these Dollar Tree throw rugs and cutting it to fit around an 8x10 canvas. Again, from Dollar Tree. I made sure to cut the fabric a little bit larger all the way around so that I could have enough left over to fold it over the edge and kind of hot glue it around behind the canvas just to hold it all tightly in place. Now, you guys, you could honestly not even buy something from Dollar Tree. You could just use a piece of scrap clothing, extra clothing, a rag, a towel. You know, you can use any material that you might already have laying around. You can cut a piece of fabric from, you know, whatever you want to use. It doesn't have to be the Dollar Tree rug. So hopefully that gives you guys some ideas. Have fun with that, be creative, and let me know if you recreate this. What do you use for this fabric in the middle? I would love to know what kind of stuff you guys use or what kind of patterns and colors that you do it in. Love to see a picture of that. You can always tag me on Instagram as well over at Style My Sweets, and I would love to see if you guys recreate any of these. Anyway, I hot glued this fabric panel now into the center of another 11x14 canvas, and once again I'm going to choose to frame this one, but you don't have to. I'm skipping the glass part and just using the frame to now frame my 3D layered canvas wall art here. I think this just made a beautiful piece of modern farmhouse, modern boho decor. I really love how this one turned out. I'm taking 4 of these signs from Dollar Tree. Now, these are from the fall, but they usually carry these for all different seasons throughout the year. So 4 of these. To attach these, I turn it on its long side and add a little bit of gel super glue in the center there, and then a little hot glue on each end of that, and then just press 2 of them together. And I just continued doing this all the way, connecting the longer side to each other. And I've got 4 of these across, and this is just going to make like a little tray. I think it kind of looks like a wood tray when it's done. So once I finish attaching them, I just go ahead and paint this whole thing over with some white chalk paint. I did have to give it a couple coats here just to make sure that I covered all the letters. You'll probably need 2 or 3 coats, but you could do it in whatever colors you like. And you could also go back and add some antique wax or a little little bit of a darker color to kind of give it more of an aged look if you prefer. I decided to use mine just as is and paint it with the white chalk paint here. Go ahead and let that dry, and then for the handles, I thought this turned out really fun and so creative. I actually took one of these little wooden snake toys that they have in Dollar Tree now, cut off the head and the tail part, and then just cut that piece in half down the center, and it's enough to fold and make 2 handles. Now you could attach these on the ends if you want, kind of on the outside part. I decided to put them on either end but sitting on top of my tray, and I just attached them with a little bit of hot glue. You could obviously use super glue or whatever you want for this, and up to you if you want to paint them, but I love the way that the painted white wood looks and this natural wood for the handles. I think it turned out really pretty like this, and definitely looks like something that you might find in a higher end store. So I am really happy with this for about $5. Okay, the next one is definitely something that is a little more unique, maybe kind of weird. I don't know. You'll have to let me know if you like it or not. And you can totally mix this up based on the colors that you want to use to fit with your own decor. So I'm taking one of these 11 by 14 canvases from Dollar Tree, and all I did was actually cut a section out from a piece of, this is like the rubber stuff that you put under a carpet, like an area rug. Now Dollar Tree actually sells this. That's where I got this piece for $1. But if you have extra left over from when you put a carpet down, you could cut a piece off of that. I am just going to use a little bit of hot glue in each corner and attach this on top of my canvas here, and then I covered the whole thing with my metallic copper chalk paint. I thought that kind of that rust color would be nice on here, and I'm going to go ahead and just add a black frame from Dollar Tree and go ahead and frame this canvas when I'm done. I feel like there's a lot of options, and actually for me, I'm kind of wishing that I did this now in like a light pink. So I may go back and change this concept up in the future and redo this piece, because I'm not sure how well the copper will go with my decor, but I did want to see how it looked, and I think it turned out pretty good, and it does go well with the next DIY. Now this one's actually inspired by something I saw in Anthropology, and it was one that I tried to recreate last year. This vase looks like it has kind of like a leather exterior, and I wanted to see what I could come up with for that, so I actually did something very unique and random for the last video. But this way is actually way easier, and I think it looks even more realistic. Now I'm gonna just reuse this vase. So Dollar Tree has these, obviously. Now mine has some paint on the bottom, so just ignore that. We're gonna cover it. But I cut off the piece of this car mat. You can get these car mats for $1 in the dollar store, and we are going to take the one that looks more like leather, not the part with the diagonal pattern, just the part that looks like leather. Cut that out, and I just cut it down to fit my vase, used a little bit of hot glue and covered the vase in this and just trimmed it down in order to fit perfectly. It does have a small seam on the back side, obviously, where we attached the 2 pieces of leather, but it's not really a big deal, and you'll see when this is all done, like, nobody's really going to see this when it's done, and I think it turned out really, really nice. So I wanted to do kind of the base for it again, and I came up with just something really super duper easy and quick, and I just had some of these brown like the tumbling tower Jenga blocks, and I thought I would connect them with a little bit of wood glue. You guys could do this with hot glue, it will work. You could do this with super glue as well, but for me, I do feel like wood glue, you know, it's a pain because it takes a little bit longer to dry, but when it's all said and done, it lasts a lot longer, and it holds better. So since I have wood glue, why not? So that's what I'm going to use, but I know that super glue and hot glue, you know, you could make it work with that as well. So I kind of made like a little square, like a little plus sign here, and then I laid them kind of on end, perpendicular on each end, another piece sticking up. So in total, I just used 8 of these little blocks to create a little stand here and put my vase in the center, and here is how this one turned out. So I took one of these candle holders, since I actually have tons of these wooden Jenga blocks laying around, I thought that I would connect 4 of those as a little square. You can connect 3 pieces, but that final one you're going to have to put on while it is around the base of the candle holder in order for it to, obviously be around the stem of this candle holder. So hot glue is going to be your best friend here, just because it's going to give you that quick hold, because wood glue, you're going to be there for a long time in order to actually like hold it in place without it falling apart. I got these on here and I did 1, I did 2. I thought 3 was going to finish it, but I honestly came back with a 4th one. And then I was happy with how this looked. And all I really did was just connect one inside of another one and around the stem of the candle holder. I like how this is turning out. I already spray painted my candle holder black. I did add a little kind of amber colored glass on the top here. Dollar Tree has lots of little votive tea light holders that are really nice that you could use on top of this. So I just kind of created this. It almost reminds me of like the mind game brain puzzles. I feel like it's one of those games where you need to solve it by disassembling these cubes. It just reminds me of those brain puzzles. I decided to go ahead and do the outside edges of these squares, and I really like how this looks. I think that the like extra black detail in there looks really good. Now I took it a step more and I decided to do the inside as well, and then that was where things got a little bit tricky because it was hard to do because they touch in some places, and then that meant that some black paint got a little bit onto the edge. I just could not get like a perfect line. So I just had to end up painting this entire thing black. But I wanted to show you how it looked first. So if you didn't want to paint these and you like the natural wood, or if you just wanted to do the outside edges, there's a little tip. If you like that look, maybe paint them first. It'll be a lot easier than once they're all glued in together. Anyway, for me, I decided, you know what, I'm going to just go ahead and paint these black so that there's no weird little edges or anything. Just paint the entire thing black. And this is how this one turned out. Moving on, I took a plain glass vase from Dollar Tree and glued it to the bottom of this Dollar Tree martini glass, and then I covered it in nautical rope. I feel like their margarita glass would also work, so I ended up actually playing around with these wooden popsicle sticks that I had laying around the house, and what I ended up doing was staggering the heights, alternating lower and higher pieces of wood just for some creativity here. I went all the way around, and this actually makes the vase look like, I don't know, like it's taller or longer, like it comes down lower than it actually does. So I dry brushed some white chalk paint to give this a bit of an aged or weathered look. You could do this with a darker paint if you want, but I definitely think the lighter color paint will give you more of a beachy coastal look. And if you want to go with a darker brown paint, it might give you a little bit more of a aged vintage farmhouse look. I don't know. What do you guys think? So many options when you're crafting, right? That is the best part. Just to use what you have, be creative, and have fun with this. You could totally use this as a vase, but I honestly love the way that it looks as a candle holder. I'm spray painting 2 Dollar Tree vases white. Dollar Tree has a white acrylic paint, but you'll probably be a lot happier with the spray paint for this. And then once that's dry, you can use a black Sharpie permanent marker to do this, although my recommendation would be one of these black Sharpie oil markers, which will do a way nicer job, and they're still pretty affordable. I'll have the link for the ones I used down below in the info box. I used a 7.5-inch vase for one and a 9-inch vase for the other. And then I just copied the patterns for these 2 vases from the Pier 1 vases. On this one, I didn't even bother measuring perfect lines because the one from Pier 1 has naturally wavy lines that are not perfect, but of course you can measure them out perfectly if you want them to be perfectly neat and symmetrical. For this one now, just make sure your lines are going up on one side and down on the other, kind of like arrows pointing up and down, alternating them like that. For the next one, I'm using another tall glass vase and 2 packs of these colorful puffy stickers from Dollar Tree. I think you'll really need 3 packs to alternate them in the same style as the Pier 1 base though. Since I only had 2 packs, I let them be closer at the bottom, and then I kept the same pattern, but I spaced them out farther and farther as I got closer to the top. So the vase had kind of a spreading out effect where the little dots are spreading out. And then I have this old gold Krylon spray paint, which I don't know what happened, but it's more like a dull bronze. I thought this was going to be a metallic gold, so I'm coming back over it. I purchased a new Rust-Oleum metallic gold paint, and I only needed a little bit of it now to cover my vase, and it looks so much better now. The next one is super cute, I think. Again, the actual Pier 1 version was huge and pricey, but I think this turned out so adorable. I absolutely love it. I'm taking a pack of the wooden tumbling tower game blocks and using some glue to attach 5 in a row, end to end, and make 4 sets like that for the corners. And then 4 large popsicle sticks with the ends cut off. I lined them up kind of perpendicular like this, like a plus sign, and glued them on top of 4 more wooden blocks to make the corner feet for the base of this stand. I also used a dab of glue in between them in the center just to keep everything in place. I am using a Gorilla Wood glue, which I'll also have linked down below. You could do this with hot glue, but you'll definitely want to go light on that. You don't want to add too much bulk in between, or it's not going to really come out looking good. And since we're going to be staining this with a wood stain, the stain isn't going to cover the hot glue as well as like a spray paint might. Once it's all dry, you can stain or paint it however you want. I also made a second smaller one simply by doing 4 blocks high instead of 5. Of course, it was super windy out, and don't you know, the wind blew one down and broke it while I was painting the other one. So please do try to be careful, especially if the glue isn't 100% dry. You can add a shower curtain ring as a handle on top. I'm using hot glue for this, and I'm going to paint mine, but you can do it however you prefer for yours. And then a cute little glass candle holder or a larger pillar candle on the inside would be so cute. Since it's not that tall though, I would recommend sticking with LED battery operated candles only for this DIY. I'm using an ashtray upside down and gluing a tea light holder upside down on that, and then gluing one of these flared vases on top of that and adding my candle inside. I think this candle holder for $3 turned out super cute. I'm using hot glue to bring it all together, but feel free to use something like E6000 or something stronger for glass if you're concerned about the hot glue not holding. I love the look, but I think the Pier 1 version had rhinestones, so if you wanted to wrap that center ball part in the stand with some rhinestone ribbon, you can do that either way. Let me know in the comments which way you like it better, with or without the rhinestones. I was going through my craft supply stash, and I started by taking this little wall decor sign from Dollar Tree, and I'm also taking 4 wooden dowels. I got a whole package of these in Dollar Tree's craft section, and I hot glued them into the corners standing straight up, and once the glue was dry, I added another dot of hot glue on top of each stick and placed this clear plastic dish from Dollar Tree upside down on top of the sticks, with the sticks going up into the corners of the dish. I let that dry another minute, and then I very carefully turned the whole thing over and added more hot glue into each corner of the clear plastic dish to really give the sticks a good hold, especially because we're going to make this the top part and paint over the whole thing. So this underside won't be visible anyway. I also took a small wooden dowel, again from a pack that I got in Dollar Tree as well, and I'm just going to cut 2 little pieces about 1 inch long and then sand the ends to smooth them out a bit, and then I just arranged them to make a handle and used a small bit of hot glue to attach everything together. And now you can paint this all one color, spray paint it, chalk paint it, whatever you like. I decided to spray paint the areas I wanted to make gold with a gold spray paint first, and then come back with black chalk paint and a foam brush and carefully paint all of the areas black now that I wanted to finish it up and make black.
Whenever I'm with you, I am alright. There's something about the way you make me feel inside. I'm counting down the days till we fly away. heading to the sun. Only you.
This is how it turned out. I love the black and gold, but I also think that this would be really beautiful just painted something totally neutral, like all white for summer, or even doing it in gray or brown as well. Now, the next one is a quick one. I took apart this Dollar Tree frame I did back in the fall time, and I'm covering the inside portion with this black and white floral contact paper from Dollar Tree. And then I was debating what stickers to use because Dollar Tree has so many choices, and I wanted to put something inspirational on here. I ended up actually just spelling out the words crazy faith after a very inspirational teaching that I heard on faith from Transformation Church in Oklahoma. You could actually watch them right here on YouTube. So Mike and I do that sometimes in the evenings. Anyway, I think the black frame looks really good, but I went with a gold one because I wanted it to coordinate with my new office and desk space better.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights.
The next one is super cute. I took 2 of these wood box frame decor pieces from Dollar Tree. They usually have these for every season. Of course, these are the Valentine's ones, so I wanted to pry the heart off to save it for a future DIY, and also so that the wood tray will lay flat and sit flat on the counter or table. You'll want to paint the whole thing whatever color you like. I used white chalk paint. Once it was all dry, I took 2 of these candle holders from Dollar Tree in 2 different heights, and I glued the taller one upside down in the center of the first box tray, and then I glued the next box on top of that, and the smaller candle holder upside down in this tray now. I did this all with hot glue, but if you do want something a little bit sturdier, you might want to try something like E6000, or maybe go back and add like a little bit of super glue or something like that in there along the edges as well. Be careful and gentle because it's not super strong, but it is super cute. I also used a little more glue to add a clear shower curtain ring to the top to look like a handle, and I did even do a little bit extra glue around the edges of where we attach the candle holders onto the painted wood, but you could also do something with super glue or E6000, whatever you prefer. I think this would be perfect for jewelry, little perfume bottles, ribbon, hair clips, bows, any little things like that. It costs under $5 to make, and I'm kind of thinking of adding it to my daughter's bedroom for her little accessories. I think she would really love this. For the next one, I took this canvas decor from Dollar Tree, and at first I was going to paint over it with maybe white or tan colored chalk paint. I kind of actually wish that I did do a tan chalk paint, to be honest, but I decided to do it in the light pink chalk paint because I have little bits of like pink and gold accessories that I wanted this to coordinate and match with, if that makes sense. So I simply then came and added these wall art stickers from Dollar Tree to create a meaningful and inspirational message. I love decor that sends me positive reminders throughout the day. I did come back and add this little strip of gold metal beading along the top and bottom. This is actually just a sticker sheet from Dollar Tree that you can cut into the length and width that you want for your project. Just a really easy way to add a little accent on here. Moving on, I've got the 7.5-inch glass vases from Dollar Tree, and also found longer wooden sticks in their craft section. They are like longer wooden dowels, but if you can't find those, you should be able to do this with their wooden skewer sticks instead. Just cut the sticks down to the height of the glass. I couldn't find my cutter, so I was kind of lazy and just used like a heavy-duty scissors to kind of score like a line into the wood all the way around, and then I just gently snapped it one way and then pushed it back the other way to break it off. And they actually broke off very easily and neatly. So if you're in a pinch, this is what worked for me. Anyway, I painted them all black. I used spray paint, but use whatever works for you. And then I also measured and cut 3 pieces of black ribbon from Dollar Tree, long enough to go around the vase and also enough to overlap just a little bit. And then I used hot glue to do one right around the top, one around the bottom edge, and then one around the center. I did that for all of them, and then I used a dab of hot glue on the top and bottom ribbons to add the wooden sticks on opposite sides of each vase, standing up vertically like this. You can make as many of these as you want, and you can position them however you want in order to make them look like they are connected. I feel like these vases have kind of like a modern farmhouse, almost industrial look to them, but do you think that they look better with flowers or with candles? Let me know. You might have seen these plastic totes at Dollar Tree, and I think they are absolutely the cutest, and I figured I could make a beach summer tote perfect for carrying items to the beach, or even just styling some magazines or books in around the house, or as a way to bring my planner and laptop in the car with me if I'm going to be out and I have editing that I need to catch up on, and it just helps keep everything organized. So I covered the handles with some cotton twine from Dollar Tree, but you could also easily take one of the mop heads from Dollar Tree and pull out the pieces from that and use that if you want a thicker, softer handle. And now for my tassels, I wrapped more of the cotton twine around my hand to the thickness I wanted. And then I tied off the top part and cut all the ends to create our fringe on here. I did 2 of these, but to add a beachier look, I also cut some extra twine and used a dab of hot glue inside these tiny shells from Dollar Tree and glued them onto the ends of the twine. You can also add some of the Dollar Tree pearls and gems hanging on here as well. Something about these actually reminds me of a fun keychain I had growing up.
And I won't waste it. And I promise that I will stand by you forever. I can't get you out of my mind. I will follow you wherever. And I won't waste it.
And I really like the aesthetic of this and how it all turned out. Next, I'm taking some of these extra large craft sticks from Walmart, and I cut the rounded edges off and lined up 2 of them vertically, and then glued on 7 more sticks going across, spaced out horizontally, to make this look almost like a little fence. And now I'm taking some Dollar Tree stickers and spelling out some little inspirational words and messages, and I'm going to be alternating painting them both a darker navy blue and a lighter sky blue. Then we can peel the stickers off to reveal the words, which will now be spelled out just in the natural wood on here. So I think that the copper paint would be really pretty on here as well. I'm actually going to use it to make a little vase now by just sponging the chalk paint onto this glass vase from Dollar Tree. And once it was dry, I came back and wrapped the lower half with some jute or nautical rope by attaching it with hot glue. And then I took some more chalk paint to make a little alternating triangle pattern on here. I really just kind of did this by hand. You can just kind of eyeball and guess whatever looks good to you. I think it has somewhat of a southwestern or tribal type pattern, and I think this would fit very well with bohemian and modern boho decor as well. I also did one of these little Dollar Tree tea light holders, and I painted that as well. Like I said, I love this metallic copper paint, and I think it just adds like a little bit of texture, just enough to make the shiny smooth glass start to look more like a terracotta clay piece of pottery or something. And continuing the triangle pattern from the last one, I took my chalk marker and followed the outline along the top of this triangle pattern on the candle holder, and I just filled that in. You could obviously add a tea light in here, or a votive, an air plant, or even just a little succulent from Dollar Tree. Completely up to you. Super easy and affordable DIY. Next, my daughter Renee took this empty tissue box, and since the blue and white fit the theme, she added little rhinestone gems, also from Dollar Tree, all the way around everywhere the lines intersected to make a lovely little planter or a tissue box cover. I have a little fern plant in here, but you could easily add flowers or whatever you wanted to put in here. You would need to put some kind of like glass vase down inside it in order to actually have water for real live flowers. But either way, this looks super cool. On to the next one. It is super duper easy. I took some of this blue tile contact paper from Dollar Tree and cut a piece to cover my plain glass Dollar Tree vase. And I love how pretty and how simple and easy this was to do. It looks like it's made out of like some kind of like ceramic or porcelain, glass, tile. I don't know. It looks really cool. And I just think it's so pretty and beautiful for summertime, for spring, for summer. But of course, you could use it any time of the year. And then I cut a second piece of this contact paper to stick inside this little 5x7 frame that I got in Dollar Tree. And I was going to add a little wooden sailboat on here, but I ended up deciding to add the little ship helm instead. They come in this pack, and I went with the ship helm, and then I just decided to kind of center that on here. I think this is pretty cute for summer as well, or for any time, especially if you are into beach, coastal, or nautical type decor. For the next one, I took one of these plastic garden bowls from Dollar Tree, and I am going to also be taking a glass martini glass. I'm turning that over, adding a generous amount of hot glue to the bottom of that glass, and then attaching the plastic garden bowl on top of that. And this is just going to make like a nice little stand or tray. I think it's perfect to use as like an elevated fruit bowl, fruit dish. You could obviously paint this any color you want. I think painting it would be really beautiful. I'm gonna just leave it as is and just add some of these little silver rhinestone stickers. They also sell these in like a copper gold color. I'm just gonna add the stickers right around the top edge. I think this looks so beautiful, a little bit glam, but you could totally paint it to be white, black, copper, whatever you prefer. Make it look more farmhouse, more modern, more boho, whatever your style is. And I wanted to style it with some of my little fake lemons here. These are also from Dollar Tree, but could definitely go ahead and use this to store your real fruit on the counter as well. While I was thinking of what I could do with this extra mason jar lid that I had laying around, and I decided to paint it metallic gold, although you could totally leave it as is if you prefer. I'm going to glue this upside down to the bottom of a 7.5-inch cylinder Dollar Tree vase, and then take 2 packs of the smaller wooden dowels from Dollar Tree, and I'm painting those black. Once the paint was dry, I glued them onto the vase, alternating them with one starting at the top, pointed down, one at the bottom, pointed up, another at the top, pointed down, and another at the bottom, pointed up. I just kept continuing this all the way around, leaving a small space between each one, and I just continued doing this all the way around the vase. I think this made a very cute little modern boho style candle holder lantern. By the way, I'll have my favorite LED flameless timer candles linked below, as well as in my Amazon shop if you are curious. The next one is perfect for boho decor and also has that modern flair as well. And this one is actually a remake on something I did a few months ago, making a little banner out of this piece of fabric from Dollar Tree's craft section. Now, I highly recommend washing and drying your fabric first. I didn't do that, and honestly, I regret it now. So hopefully if you do that, your material won't shrink. Mine kind of shrunk a little bit when the paint dried. But anyway, I was inspired by a piece of art that I saw at Urban Outfitters for this one, and I decided to kind of try this piece with a black and white shades of gray version. And I just started with my black chalk paint to create a large circle at the top to be kind of like our sun or moon. And then also I did a band along the bottom. By the way, the fringe that's on here, I cut off from a Dollar Tree mat and I hot glued that on here. I'm going to link the original video if you want to see that part where I attached that fringe, but you could obviously make whatever fringe that you want out of cotton twine or out of any other kind of like nautical rope, twine, whatever you prefer. But Dollar Tree does have some mats and throw rugs, and you can create some fringe like this one. I just cut right off of that. So Anyway, I mixed in a little bit of white chalk paint, and this way I was able to create a really dark gray and then a little bit lighter gray and then an even lighter gray, almost a white band across here as well. And I just went from darker to lighter. I also did 2 half moons with the gray as well. And here is what it looks like now with the silver arrow. I used this as a hanger from my Valentine's decor way back in February when I made this original piece of decor. Kind of wanted to see how it looked, but at the same time I thought maybe I wanted a different look and just something with natural wood. I think I'm going to just use a string of cotton twine through this loop in the fabric that I made already when I folded the fabric over and glued it. And I'm going to just use a wooden dowel here now from Dollar Tree to make it like a simpler modern boho look right now. But definitely comment and let me know, do you prefer it with a wood hanger or with the silver arrow? Now, on to the next one. This could be either a vase or a candle holder or whatever you like, but I started by cleaning the surface of my Dollar Tree vase and then cutting a piece out of this Dollar Tree shower mat. I lined it up where I felt like it had the neatest edge and cut along that and then pulled it tightly around the vase. It does have like a little bit of stickiness to kind of give it some cling and adhere to the glass a little bit, and then that way we can just use some hot glue underneath the edges right along the seam where you attach the 2 ends together. I am liking the look of this so far, but I wanted to elevate it somehow, and I happen to have some of the wooden tumbling tower game blocks from Dollar Tree as well, so I lined those up as neatly as I could in a circle to fit under the vase almost perfectly, exactly how I wanted them. And I just thought that I would do this the quick and lazy way rather than trying to glue in between each single wood block, which you could totally do if you want to, but I got my blocks in the position exactly where I wanted them, and then I just carefully added a decent amount of hot glue all the way around the top, placed my vase again super carefully. I pressed it down and held it on there, and then this has stayed together, and I think it worked out really, really well. It stayed together totally fine for me, and it saved me so much time, and it held the little wooden blocks in place really well. And you might already have this, but I just bought this antiquing wax on Amazon, and wow, I love it. I don't even know why it took me so long to get some and try it, but it is so nice for coloring the wood and still leaving a little bit of the wood grain texture and a little bit of that look of the natural wood coming through, almost more of like a stain than a paint. So I'm going to have this linked below if you're interested. I really liked using it, and I can't wait to create future projects with this. For the next one, I made this one in a previous video, but today I am changing it up. I attached a plastic garden bowl to an upside down martini glass from Dollar Tree. And actually what you might want to do is take your garden bowl and add the adhesive rhinestone stickers along the edge, and then just go ahead and spray paint the whole top. I did mine in black, so I just spray painted the whole thing black, and then after that, once it's dry, you could easily go ahead and glue it onto the martini glass. I'm leaving the martini glass clear for my base and going to add some of these leftover stickers that I had along the bottom here. The leaf print looks very boho to me, and I just think that the clear glass and the black adds a really nice, pretty modern twist as well, so you kind of get those modern boho vibes. I'm taking one of these plastic Dollar Tree baskets and spray painting it with kind of like a hammered brown or hammered charcoal color. And then once it's dry, I'm taking 24 strands out of one of these mop ends from Dollar Tree. And now I'm taking 3 sets of 2 strands and braiding them together and doing the same thing with the other 3 sets as well. And just hot gluing the braid around under the edge, and then also using a bit of hot glue to connect the next braid into the one before it. I also had enough left over to make 2 handles, and I just glued the rope pieces together to create the handles, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing and this makes sense. But I think this turned out really nice, although if you wanted to do twine or nautical rope, I think maybe doing it with nautical rope would add even more to the overall like rustic country farmhouse look of this DIY basket. Comment and let me know, do you vote for nautical rope or do you prefer the cotton braids like I used here?
Like you don't need anyone else, because all I need is you.
Next, I'm taking one of these vases from Dollar Tree and painting it with some white chalk paint. I feel like the thicker texture of the chalk paint makes it look a bit more rustic and farmhouse than spray painting it would have. That would have just given like a much more even and smooth finish. And then this is actually a leftover portion that I cut from a Dollar Tree basket. I'm going to hot glue a piece of this wood from the basket around the bottom edge of the vase. And then I actually cut another piece from the basket and bent it around to glue it onto the vase like a little handle. These little fashion gems. I'm using these to look like nail heads or something and make it look like a metal fastener attaching the handles to the vase. And I totally think this completed the look. Definitely be careful with the handles though, because if you mess around with them too much like I did, you can see that the little wooden piece from the basket, you can make it snap like mine did because I just kept adjusting it too much. So carefully bend it into place and then leave it alone and don't keep messing around with it. This is for decoration only. But anyway, you get the idea, and I just think that for a little over $1, this little DIY vase is super, super cute and perfect for farmhouse decor. I love how it turned out. Next, I'm taking 2 of these lovely little mason jars from Dollar Tree, and I just love the checkered design on the glass and the copper colored lids. Now for this one, I'm going to just glue another piece of these woven wood strips from the Dollar Tree basket. I'm attaching it going around the lid, and then I'm taking a wooden bead, glue that on top like a little decorative handle or topper. Another option here is taking one of these little copper glass writer markers from Dollar Tree, and I am just outlining that checkered design on the glass with this. I think it looks so cool. I really like how it turned out, and I actually ended up taking the little wooden beads off the top and doing the same thing to those so that they would also have kind of that copper color. Actually, if you notice where I had pulled it off, the hot glue filled the hole, and now I can just peel off the outside glue around that. I'm going to make this the top, and now the hole is actually filled in, so it looks more like smooth little knob for the top. I think it looks so much better. Let me know if you prefer the look of the natural wood or if you like how it looks with the copper rose gold color. But anyway, here is how these turned out. Now, I added one of the wood pieces from the basket and glued that around the top of a Clausen pickles jar. I find these in my grocery store, and the larger Clausen pickle jars are such a good size for storage or as a really cute rustic country farmhouse style vase. I think these are the perfect thing to just like keep around and reuse, recycle, upcycle into something really cute because the size is so nice on these. I think this looks pretty cute, as simple as it is. However, I decided to take this jar a step further by taping off about halfway. I want to paint the bottom half white, and I'm taking my chalk paint here. I'm going to paint around the bottom half. This way I'll get a straight line using that painter's tape. And then I had a little bit of sand from Dollar Tree, and I decided to just get creative with this and see if I could kind of make it look a little bit more maybe like cement or something like that. I got the idea to try this out with the sand after watching a DIY that Emily did from Mama from Scratch. She did something really cool using some mud and dirt in her yard, and I loved that. And anyway, that gave her vase a really cool effect, and I just wanted to see if I could try some of this sand mixed in and just try to get it to look a little bit more maybe like cement. Natural color sand might look really good. I only had the white sand, and since it's a white chalk paint as well, I think it's going to mix together and be fine, and it'll just give it a little bit more texture. I kind of felt like it was missing something, so I'm going to take another piece from these wooden Dollar Tree baskets. I like that they have the lighter brown and the little bit darker brown shades, so just depending on your project, you can use whatever color will fit best. And for the contrast with the white on here, I wanted to use a darker brown wood color, and I think this looks pretty good. So I debated putting it along the bottom part. I decided to ultimately do this band of wood along the center as like a divider. And now you can see that these two wood colors don't match, and if you want something very earthy and natural and eclectic, you might love that. However, I kind of felt like I just wanted the two wooden strips and wooden pieces to match. So I decided to I couldn't really get off the one I'd already attached on there, so I decided to just take another little piece from that basket in the same color to match the one I put around the middle and glue it right on top of the other one around the top, and then this way they match. Let me know, would you do one along the bottom as well? Do you think it looks complete how it is? And what are your thoughts? I'm not sure. I think I like how this turned out, and of course I totally love that this is just a recycled jar. I may end up moving it upstairs to put some makeup brushes in, and it was just saving a glass jar from pickles out of our recycle. So that is always a win for sure. Anyway, moving on for the next one, I took one of these frames from Dollar Tree and I cut a piece of this vinyl drawer liner to fit inside the frame. And I took 3 of these poster stickers from Dollar Tree and I arranged an H and then an M and an E. Now for the letter O, I'm going to actually cut 2 little pieces of greenery off of a Dollar Tree floral bouquet piece and glue them around to kind of create a little circle and make a little letter O shape. And then I just flip this over so that it's going to be framed inside the glass. And here is how it turned out. This is just such a sweet little frame and a sweet little message. Okay, and then for the next one, I took one of these Dollar Tree mirrors. This one was a leftover one that I had from that 7-foot tall Dollar Tree DIY mirror that I made last month. I'm going to link it for you if you want to check it out. But anyway, remove the mirror part so that you can easily paint the frame however you want. I'm just going to brush some white chalk paint on there, but you can do yours however you like. And then I took 2 packs of these wooden rounds from Dollar Tree. Believe it or not, I've seen people find these in Dollar Tree for years, but this is the first time I have ever actually seen them. So I was super excited and I grabbed a few bags and I'm basically going to line these up now before I glue them down so I can find the ones that will line up as evenly as possible. They're not all exactly the same. They're all pretty close in length, but some of them are thicker than others. Anyway, I just hot glued them down around the frame, and I think this little country rustic farmhouse DIY mirror is super cute. It would also work totally awesome for cabin decor, for a country cabin. I might have to pass this one on to my parents for their log cabin because I just think it would be perfect. Okay, so for the next one, I was inspired by these beautiful apothecary jars from Pottery Barn, which were a bit pricey. So for today, I decided to just see what I could create out of my Dollar Tree vases and jars. I used hot glue to attach this Dollar Tree tea light holder upside down, although E6000 will definitely give you a much stronger hold if you prefer. But hey, sometimes I come back months later and I just want to take stuff apart and make something else and repurpose and reuse. And I am taking the top from this glass jar, prying off that plastic seal part. I used a knife and just pried this off really carefully so that the lid will fit perfectly into the vase, the top of the vase. And then I'm taking this similar style Dollar Tree vase. It's a little bit different shape. The opening is narrower for this one. So I actually left the plastic edge right on there, and then this can sit neatly over the opening of the vase. And then one more small Dollar Tree glass jar here. I just left this natural just as is, and this gave me the 3 different heights. They aren't perfect, but it was a super cheap and super easy way to get some pretty glass jars for our bathroom essentials like Q-tips and bath Epsom salts and even cotton balls. And then for this one, I took a simple Dollar Tree mason jar from my craft stash, taped off the top half and spray painted the lower half black, and then you can add a candle or some fresh flowers in here. And for this vase, I went ahead and just added in some faux pink peonies here. I can link these below. They actually are ones that I cut off of a beautiful bouquet that's pretty inexpensive that you can get on Amazon actually. I love this arrangement and I actually have it in different colors. I know this one was such a simple DIY, but honestly I thought it looked pretty close to the Pottery Barn one, so I had to share it with you guys. Really easy and really cheap and affordable to do. For the next piece I'm doing today, I have one of these little copper glass vases from Dollar Tree, and I'm actually going to be adding some painter's tape down the sides in order to create just a straight line down the center. And that straight line down the center, I'm going to go ahead and paint with my vintage pink chalk paint. Once that's dry, I come back and do a second coat on there as well, just to make sure that it is completely covered. And then once that second layer has dried, I came back in with this kind of copper color paint, and I simply dipped my brush in it, and then I simply tapped my paintbrush so that I could kind of speckle all of this copper paint on top of the pink paint. And then once that's dry, I just go ahead and take my painter's tape off the edges, and obviously I wanted to do this for all four sides of this vase, but I have a straight line down the center with my pink and copper, and then this way you see the little bit of that amber coppery color glass on the corners. So I really like how this one turned out, and I just styled a little fern from Michael's and some Dollar Tree roses in here, and that is all there was to this one. And obviously you could customize this with whatever color paint that you have to fit with your own decor. Taking 3 of these square wall decor signs from Dollar Tree, I'm spray painting them white. And then once they're dry, I'm using just over 2 packs of these black and gold foil puffy stickers, also from Dollar Tree. And I space them out to kind of create a square in the center of each square panel here. That's going to be 5 stickers high by 5 stickers wide. So you will need 25 squares for each panel. You could easily hang these with some small nails or command hooks. They're very lightweight and very easy to hang up. I just love how they look in a set of 3 like this. Personally, I just really love how these turned out. They are so pretty and so easy and inexpensive to make a really budget-friendly DIY wall decor piece. Dollar Tree had these backsplash tile stickers, and they're basically just like a square sheet of backsplash sticker. Grabbed 2 of these while I was in Dollar Tree, and I just cut pieces of them to fit, along with 2 vases from Dollar Tree. So I got a 7-inch vase, or 7.5-inch and 9-inch vase, and I cut pieces equal heights to go around the base of those vases. These could be candle holders. You can drop some candles down inside them, which I think looks so good. You could also use them as a vase if you prefer, but really it doesn't get any easier than this. You're just sticking the tile sticker onto the vase. For this one, I'm taking an 11 by 14 canvas from Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna take some hot glue and basically start in the middle and just make stripes of hot glue, kind of making this like a sun, like a starburst sun from the center, making lines going all the way out to the edge in every direction. Now, if you're wondering why there's some yellow hot glue there, first of all, I had a couple different brands of hot glue. So I have mix and match glue sticks with different brands, and some of them are cloudier than others. Some are more clear, some are more cloudy, but it doesn't really matter because we are going to be painting over this. The other thing is I think I left my glue gun. It was kind of sitting for a while because I was working on some different projects, and I think the glue was like heating up too much. So anyway, I'm not sure. Combination of those things is, I guess, why I have some yellowish hot glue there. But yeah, just in case you're wondering. Now I want to add a blue base onto this. So of course the glue dries pretty quickly. And I've got some blue chalk paint here. So what I'm actually going to go ahead and do is get a little bit of water in my plate here. I just have a paper plate that I added some water to so that I can dilute some of the paint. So in the center, I'm putting the chalk paint like directly on, but then toward the outside of this starburst, toward the outside edge of the canvas, I'm actually diluting it quite a bit in water. So it's more like painting watercolor than chalk paint. But that way I have a little more, I'm able to just kind of customize it a little bit more to get like a very light blue for a background and keep almost keep it where I have some white and some blue, but with the center a darker blue. So hopefully that makes sense. I really wanted to keep kind of a variegated color in here and be able to just see some depth and dimension. Of course, you can always go back in with a little more white paint if you want to brighten and lighten up your photo a little bit more, just in case, you know, if the blue is too dark and moody and starts overpowering it. And I did have a little bit of some shimmering silver acrylic paint by Decor, so I brought in a little bit of that. Honestly, I had very little left in this jar, but I figured, hey, you don't even need much, but I just put a little bit of that in there. And then the other thing I'm going to add in is, actually, I tried adding some glue on here, but then I got to thinking, instead of the glue, because I wanted to add a little bit of glitter and sparkle into the center of this, I decided to actually just take some silver glitter paint from Dollar Tree and put that all into the center, and then kind of drag it out from the center in all directions to get like a little bit of that glitter and sparkle. And then I also dusted over this whole thing with a little bit of blue glitter. So just very lightly over the whole thing with the blue glitter. I did decide to add a frame to this, so I'm going to use an 11 by 14 frame, also from Dollar Tree. And I was very undecided on whether or not to make this frame white or use that metallic, that shimmery silver. Comment below and let me know, what would you guys use? Would you do this with a white frame or would you do it with a silver frame? But anyway, here is how this beautiful piece of blue and silver wall art turned out. I just think this makes a beautiful piece of wall decor on a budget, and it was just really fun and easy to make. And I'm taking one of these home signs from Dollar Tree. I'm going to take this metallic marker. This is from Dollar Tree and this part is optional. They do also have it in gold and in silver, like in the metallics. I'm going to go ahead with this copper rose gold color just because we kind of have like more copper and rose gold in our house. So I decided to outline my letters with that and give it a thick, like metallic copper border around the H, M, and E. I also pried off that little metal heart in the middle. I'm going to actually save that and use it later. To make the O, I decided to actually snip off a bouquet of pink roses from Dollar Tree, and I'm going with a really light pastel pink. I love this color, and I mean, you could easily do white roses and just make it more neutral for any time of year. The last thing I'm doing is taking a little bit of fabric paint and making some raised polka dots on here on the letters, and I think it almost looks like little pearls. I love how it adds a three-dimensional look. The roses do too. They give you that 3D effect, but I'm gonna just add these with this white fabric paint. It's kind of like a puffy paint and it will dry puffy just like it is when you put it on. I actually got this fabric paint on Amazon. It came in a 3-pack, so sometimes getting it in bulk is a better deal. But if you're totally looking to do this from Dollar Tree, don't worry. Dollar Tree does have small bottles of fabric paint, and I know I've seen it in white and black. So I decided to style this outside. I'm not sure if I want to hang this up somewhere on the wall or use it on the mantle, but how pretty does it look out on our deck right now that I have set up the colors out here, and the colors match so beautifully. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. The next was also inspired by something brand new that I found in Dollar Tree that I just fell in love with when I saw it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take some wooden game blocks, and these are those tumbling tower game blocks, which, have you guys seen the large packages? Because Dollar Tree now has a large package that's like double the size of what they used to sell for $1. So that is exciting. Definitely keep an eye out for those jumbo packs of these blocks. You don't actually need that many for this. I think we're using 16 of the game blocks for this DIY. And basically what we're going to be doing is gluing 2 of them side by side, 2 more on top, and that makes like a little cube here, and then I did a second set of 4 just like that on top of it. So the blocks are standing up lengthwise, 2 high. So basically this is 2 blocks wide by 2 blocks long by 2 blocks high using wood glue. You know, hot glue will give you a quick hold. Super glue will also work, which you can pick up in Dollar Tree, but you know what? I had wood glue already, and I know that the wood glue is going to give me a really, really great lasting hold on here. So I just decided to go ahead and use it. And again, I'm taking that wet paper towel and rubbing on a little bit of antique wax on here. I'm gonna glue that cube that we just made down into the standing up in the center of the largest box here, and I placed my next medium-sized box on top of that, and that's like our little riser for a farmhouse tiered tray stand. I glued the smallest box on top now, so we have a large, medium, and small. And this just makes the most adorable farmhouse style tiered tray. I love how cute this is. It's the perfect size for like collecting all your little trinkets in. And by the way, these boxes nest together beautifully. They're like the most adorable little nesting boxes, and they just fit inside each other. So cute. But I love how adorable this tray is. And I did want to point out that little metal bracket holder on the front that you could stick a label down inside of, so you could label this if you want, but they also have little screws, so if you wanted to take it off and put it onto a different DIY, you can totally do that as well. I took one of these plastic planter trays from Dollar Tree from their like summer garden section, along with a little glass candle holder. I flipped that candle holder over, put some glue on there, and add our tray on top. And this just makes a really pretty pedestal dish that you could put real fruit in if you want. I actually just put some lemons and limes from the Dollar Tree in here, and I think this looks so pretty and so beautiful for the summertime, and just really adds a really pretty pop of color for summer. I'm taking several boxes of the wooden game blocks from Dollar Tree in order to create a tissue box cover. I started by creating 4 squares of the wooden blocks that are all 3 blocks high. 2 of the squares are 8 blocks wide and 2 are 9 blocks wide. I think you'll definitely want to use wood glue for this because super glue soaks in and absorbs into the wood, and hot glue will create too much bulk. But if you have a suggestion for another type of glue that would work besides wood glue, definitely let me know. I will have the one that I used linked down below in the description box. I got mine on Amazon, and I think it was like under $5 for this bottle. I've been using it for like a year now, and I still have a lot left. I then created a top panel for the box, and for this one, it's basically another square that is 3 vertical blocks high by 9 vertical blocks wide. But in the very center row, I only have 2 blocks on each end, and the 5 blocks in the very center I left out so that we can actually pull up a tissue easily through here. I just did a really, really light coat of white spray paint, and when it was dry, I sanded everything down again, just with a little piece of sandpaper, nothing special. Just sand it until it looks how you want it. And I personally think that this just gives the tissue box a really lovely, lighter look where you can still see the wood grain peeking through. And I just think it came out perfect for like that beachy, rustic, farmhouse, coastal themed decor. Started by taking this Dollar Tree vase and spray painting it white, and then once it was dry, I took this very light Parisian gray chalk paint and I just very lightly dry brushed and lightly pressed it on with a circle foam brush, and I just kept applying a little bit more and a little bit more until it was covered the way that I wanted it, going from the bottom right on up to that widest part here on the vase right before it tapers back in, and that way the neck part of the bottle will stay white. Again, let this totally dry, and then 1 sheet should be enough to do this, I think. I took a sheet of these adhesive pearls and I cut long single strips of pearls very neatly. And I'm going to start where the white and the gray meet at the top, bringing the string of pearl stickers halfway down around the vase and down to the bottom on the opposite side. And then to give myself a guide, I started back at the top part and connected another string of pearls from the top and went down the other direction to connect this string of pearls to the other one at the bottom. I hope this makes sense as you watch what I'm doing on here. It's really hard to explain, but I continued going around the vase, making the diagonal lines as well as filling in the spaces with a pattern of pearl dots. The top triangle pieces have 5 pearls along that straight line, and then a row of 3, and then one more pointed down, so it kind of makes like a little triangle. And I did 4 rows of 4 pearls somewhat diagonally to create a bit of like a diamond shaped square here diagonally inside each little section around the base.
Maybe hold your hand a little while. Somehow I know you're gonna be the girl that I'll end up calling my own. We ride around in style, sleeves rolled up, glasses on, and then you make that smile and my heart starts racing when I'm with you.
And here is how it turned out. So let me know what you think.
Can't get enough of this. Being with you is like never ending sunshine. Feels like everything stops for a while when we look into each other's eyes. How could I ever let you go now when you're looking like that?
The next one was really easy and turned out so pretty, I think. I took a set of 4 old coasters that I had from Dollar Tree and I covered them with 2 coats of white chalk paint, and once they're dry I took my black Sharpie paint pen, which I will have it linked below for you. I always link everything that I can, and if I ever forget just tell me and I will go back and get the link for you. Use anything straight, even like a piece of cardboard from your recycle, anything like that. Just try to get 2 straight diagonal lines from corner to corner intersecting in the middle like this, and then we are basically creating 2 more angles inside each triangle that we've just made here. It worked pretty well to line the ruler up about 1/4 to 1/2 inch off of the other lines, but still in line with and parallel to that line, and then draw a line from the outside edge in toward the center, stopping below the point of the angle above it. It's really hard to explain, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Honestly, you can create whatever pattern of lines that you want, or you could even screenshot a picture of this coaster and then just use that to look at and copy. For the next one now, I am taking one of these signs. This one says, "The best things in life aren't things." So true, right? I'm going to paint the whole thing white with a nice thick coat of chalk paint. And I still have these little tassels left, so you can do a bunch of these DIYs using your leftover tassels. Otherwise, you can go ahead and use the cotton rope or the jute twine, and you can create your own tassels anyway. You could do it with yarn too, if you have any type of yarn at home, or you can pick some up in Dollar Tree and create tassels out of that. But I definitely wanted a way to repurpose and just find a way to use what I already had here. And then use hot glue to just attach all of these individual gray tassel ties all the way around. I did try to section it off and count out how many tassels I had left over, and then try to balance them so that I had like the same amount for each side and things like that. But now we needed a base for the stand, and for that I started off thinking about taking one of these glasses from Dollar Tree and going and painting the outside of it. But of course, with the chalk paint, you know that's going to kind of have that dry, chalky look. So you can either go ahead and spray paint this white, or if you have some paint that you want to swirl around the inside, this is going to give you a much neater, cleaner look. It's a little bit of a hassle because I feel like you do need extra paint in order to swirl it around the inside, especially chalk paint is pretty thick, so you kind of need a lot of it to cover the inside. So what I ended up doing was using my foam brush a little bit to try to help spread it out and get it a little more even in there, and then I just kind of rolled it back and forth until I got it pretty well evenly covered, and then I let that dry, and I just went ahead and glued my top of my stand on here, and I feel like this is a really nice elevated pedestal tray stand. You could put this in a bedroom. You could put your perfumes on it. You could put, I don't know, whatever you want. What would you put on here? I just feel like this looks so classy and neutral and very fitting of like the anthropology style or boho chic style decor. Okay, so moving on to the next one. I just cut a neat piece of the wood print contact paper, maybe about 3 inches high or so, long enough to wrap around this vase from Dollar Tree. And that's all there is to this easy DIY candle holder that I was inspired to make by this similar style one that Pottery Barn sells. So if you notice on the top of the Pottery Barn one, the glass is actually kind of a milky white color. So what I decided to do was sponge on a little bit of Mod Podge and make a layer of that on there. It does dry clear, but it gives you that kind of like hazy effect on the glass. If you did want it to be a little bit more white, you could probably try mixing in like just a little dot of white paint in with your Mod Podge and doing it that way. Let me know what you guys think and if you would add the white paint or leave it clear glass or just do it with the Mod Podge like I did here. I added one of my favorite LED candles down inside, or you can do a real candle, totally up to you. For the next one, I took both a 7-inch vase and a 9-inch vase, and I filled them about 2 to 3 inches high, a few inches high, whatever looks good to you, with river rocks, which you can get a whole bag of in Dollar Tree, or you can collect some rocks from the great outdoors and make this even more personal and less expensive. Dollar Tree also sells these little tea light holders in a pack of 2. I'm just placing one down inside each vase on top of the rocks and adding a candle. I think this would be beautiful anywhere in my home, but it really gives me just a peaceful, relaxing spa vibe, and I think it would be so beautiful in a bathroom or a powder room for sure. For the next one, we're going to turn this little Dollar Tree mirror into a really cute little tray or candle holder. And to do that, I'm going to take a screwdriver and scratch off the letters that are on here. That was the easiest way. I've heard a lot of people recommend using like an acetone polish remover, but I honestly had really good luck just scratching it off here. And then to remove any last little residue underneath the letters, I just used a little bit of Goo Gone, but you could also just use a little glass cleaner or something like that and it should come off pretty easy. To outline the mirror, I'm going to take a wooden Dollar Tree snake toy and remove both ends of it and then just hot glue this right along the top of that edge of the mirror. And that's about all there is to this. You can style it however you like. I kind of like the natural wood, but you could also spray paint the frame of the mirror black if you want more of that matte black with natural wood. I know that's really popular, but it comes in gold, so I just decided to leave it like that. And you can style this with plants, with some candles, however you like. I think this turned out really pretty.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed these Dollar Tree DIY decor pieces for under $5 each. Let me know which ones were your favorites and give this video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing before you go. I would love to have you. And as always, thank you so much for being here. I wish you a beautiful and blessed day, and I will see you soon in the next one. Bye!